Good morning, guys. Yeah, I know I've been busy, today about various things, about 3, 4 different subjects, really. But this Remembrance Sunday now? It's, I was saying about MK and what they do to the soldiers. I think, the ones who really can't tolerate the army because, what it entails in it and suffer mental health. They're left then, drug addicts, alcoholics, victims of state, breaking laws, homelessness, institutionalized prison. Do you think that's justice? Honestly now, I should have put this in the first other video, but do you think that's justice for the soldiers, where they have to go around collecting for mental health? Because I spoke to a guy in Llanelli last year, and he was raising money for mental health patients, and I said to him what my role in future was, and he said, you'll be all right, mate. And because he said, yeah, I've had mental health problems. I was in Yemen, I couldn't do it. It takes a certain mindset. That's what the MK Ultra thing, brainwashing. If you have health issues and secrets, big secrets, what happened in Northern Ireland, Croke Park. Was it Croke Park or Lansdowne? Croke Park. Didn't the British Army march on Croke Park? Doing a rugby match, that's a war crime in itself. But things like that, British soldiers ordered, again, so committing war crimes on behalf of the government, and, again, corrupt. So, but back to the soldiers, where are they? They're left looking after, like the poppy appeal and things that honourable. But if you're fighting for the state, which you shouldn't have to, because you should be at peace anyway. Because, if you've got a boxing glove looking at somebody, of course they're going to have a boxing glove, right? If you haven't got any war machinery, and neither have they, you're not going to fight here. Just use sticks, cross the sea with a bunch of sticks, But yeah, honestly, why, do you get me what I'm trying to say? Shouldn't the government be, given that they sent them to war and they claim compensation of the Germans, and every war they take money, you owe us, owe us this, for war crimes, whatever. But shouldn't the government really pay for all that if they ordered these boys to go to war? Shouldn't they, personally, like a football player, football association, if they get injured, they get looked after, they catered for, meant to, aren't they, So if you risk your life for pennies, shouldn't you be looked after if you have health issues after going to war, or going through the training, just put it out there, they shouldn't have to go out poppy appealing, charities, it's good that they try. Shortfall in government. Why? Because they spend more and more on arms and things like that. And remember, Rolls, all these companies who specialise in war machinery, they've got loads of money. They should be paying these war things to do with war, the war machine, thing, people who make engines and things like that for, I know Rolls Royce, I'm sure, do planes for war, don't they? And different companies, jets and things like that, selling for 100 million each or whatever. Some cost $1 billion, a bloody boat, whatever, costs fucking millions, like a, Trident nuclear arsenal costs fucking trillions or whatever. It's a bit of a waste of money, isn't it? But honestly, shouldn't that be sent on the past people who need help, housing, homelessness, ill health, their families, the next generation, because they haven't got people to feed them and bring them up, so it has a knock-on effect, so a step parent comes in, maybe that child, then something happens to them, it affects generation after generation, it isn't just one person. If you lose one person out of the chain, then other people get knocked on, so, but anyway, just putting it out there, that really the government should be looking after every person who's been to war, trained, anything, even the ones are in prison, they should be released, I reckon, even if they committed a crime, even serious crime, because they've been messed about here due to training to go to war. That's my opinion. They should never have gone to war in the first place. Fighting, but they were, it's a living, they say, you're looking after your country, you're brainwashed into it, basically, It's a sad fact, isn't it, No disrespect to the soldiers who've gone to war, because that's what you're taught, conformist education and everything, that's what you're taught in life, But my thing is not about that part at the moment, it's more about looking after the soldier when they return ill, war hero, whatever. Because they're often left broken because of what's happened, mindset. Of course, if you shot somebody, blown somebody's leg off, and you hear a story like the Vietnam girl with all her skin hanging off, come on. I cried when I seen that. I was in tears, and I wasn't around then. I seen it in film years later. So did that really happen? Yeah, napalm and things like it, the skin hanging off. Jesus. Does anybody humane can cope with something like that? Seeing it in the flesh as well. My God. I think I'd never recover from something like that. I've seen shit happen to me, okay, which I've recovered from. Again, elite leaders, money, justice for the soldiers as well. Honestly, justice for them all. Every single one. Going back generations, everyone in poverty, left stricken. I think so. If anybody disagrees on that, well, of course you'll get a couple of people, in control, but the majority, I think, would agree that these soldiers who have fought for our country and any country globally, the Gurkhas, things like that, during conflict, used, where's their compensation? They've been fighting for years, You could go on about war after war after war, which has been illegitimate. Talk about the Falklands. It's like a couple of miles away from Argentina. Oh, that's ours. We don't even belong to Northern Ireland, technically, okay, it's part of Ireland, There's an argument that Wales belongs to Wales, but we're part of one island, innit? But, you can go on about that all day, innit? But the Falklands, the Maldives, or whatever they got, and it's dragged into sport as well, Remember? Beckham, the flick. Oh, it was fine then, what Simeone did to Beckham. And he only got knighted the other day as well, didn't he? He did a flick, what was it? 10 brave lions, one stupid little boy. And I don't say that to Beckham, as in he was ripped apart, because why? I don't believe Beckham had much money behind him, but look what he's made of himself. Well done, Becks. I mean it, honestly. The society doesn't like people breaking through that ceiling, and he did. Posh and Becks, power couple. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes of their life. They look into good football, good crosser of the ball, good footballer, good career, carried England. Went from England villain because of a flick. It wasn't even a red card. I would have sent the ref off, I would have, personally. Red card for that, what the 98 minute, that was the one. Was that the one that Michael Owen had a breakthrough as well, a Liverpool player? Wasn't he Welsh, by the way? Sorry, but I'm not taking the piss out of him, but because he was a good player as well. He scored some goals, isn't it? But yeah, honestly, why we're not going about football at the end of a war thing, but it tags onto the Argentina thing, didn't it? Like England against Argentina, hand of God and everything. They bring sport into war. Come on, they do. USSR, Russia, back, against America, like the games and everything, different. Was it 76? Yeah, 76 was it? What was it? Yeah. 84 was Los Angeles. 80, I'm not sure. Was it 70? Which year was they in Russia? Was it 76? When I was looking up now, I can't remember all of them, because I'm just talking, But they bring sport and war, conflict into one another. The old enemy, England against Germany. Do you get me? It's sick, really, in a way, isn't it? Do you know? The old enemy, the Kaisers, and I don't say that. That's what the commentators say on TV. The Kaisers against the English. Come on, have a bit of respect for my sport. Do you get me? So they blur the lines deliberately, do you know? It's true. Boxing at the moment. Alexander, world champion. Ukraine, good champion as well. I think he's a good boxer. My fucking God, he's quick. I think he'd beat a fucking hundreds, like a 100-stone fighter. He'd freaking knock about, But honestly, just that at the end, basically I'm asking, saying, these soldiers should be taken care of, and why they're bringing sport into it. This combines what I've said today. I've gone from basically sport earlier to war to MK Ultra, loads of different things. So it all ties in, really, what I've been talking about all morning, really. If you talk about corruption, sport, what I said about rugby, not much, about that corruption, but war heroes, this now again ties back into sport. It's all part of society, isn't it? It's all the same thing. Anyway, have a nice day, guys. And again, if I had a hat on, I'd take it off again. Right, take it off for the heroes, Shine a hat, better than the boots, Who needs them bloody posh boots anyway when you're sitting at home watching, well, I haven't got a TV. Have a nice day, guys.